welcome back to my little YouTube or booktube channel. My name is Bryndís. In this video I want to go over all of the books that I read in 2023. I have a video up on my channel where I go over my top 5 for the year. So if you want to, you can go ahead and check that out. In this video I'm not going to be doing like thorough reviews of the books. I might mention the stars that I gave them on Goodreads, but I'm not gonna like go in depth in about like whether I really like them or not. You can obviously see that with the stars that I gave them, but if you would like to get like a more in-depth review of any of these books, I would definitely be open to consider that for sure. But yeah, let's just dive right into all of the books that I read in 2023. I will start with Agatha Christie. I continued on with my challenge of reading every single book or every single novel and short story that Agatha Christie wrote. And in 2023 I completed that challenge and I read the following books. Let's start with the novels, and I'm gonna start in like with the books that I gave 5 stars and then go down from there. So these were the books that I gave 5 stars: Murder at the Vicarage, The Body in the Library, A Pocket Full of Rye, The Moving Finger, 5:40 from Paddington, The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side, Sparkling Cyanide, Murder is Easy, Ordeal by Innocence, Endless Night, Towards Zero, N or M, By the Pricking of My Thumb, and Then There Were None. The following books I gave 4 stars: A Caribbean Mystery, Nemesis, Sleeping Murder, Death Comes at an End, As the End, Crooked House, Why Didn't They Use Evans, The Pale Horse, They Came to Baghdad, The Sittaford Mystery, The Secret of Chimneys, and Postern of Fate. And the following books I gave 3 stars: At Bertram's Hotel, Passenger to Frankfurt, The Man in the Brown Suit, and The Secret Adversary. I am willing to acknowledge that I am very biased towards Agatha Christie. I absolutely love her work, so possibly I'm being super generous in regards to the stars, but I really enjoyed. There was no Agatha Christie novel that I did not enjoy reading, so 3 stars was quite uncommon because, as I said, I just really enjoyed the books. These are the short stories of Agatha Christie that I read. Again, I will start with the 5-star stories: The Bloodstained Pavement, The Tuesday Night Club, The Thumb Mark of St. Peter, A Christmas Tragedy, The Companion, Death by Drowning, The Affair at the Bungalow, The Herb of Death, Sanctuary, The Dressmaker's Doll, The Case of the Perfect Maid, The Case of the Caretaker, Miss Marple Tells a Story, The Case of the Middle-Aged Wife, The Case of the Discontented Soldier, The Oracle at Delphi, and The Gate of Baghdad. The following stories I gave 4 stars: Motive versus Opportunity, Ingots of Gold, The Tape Measure Murder, Strange Jest, Greenshaw's Folly, The Witness for the Prosecution, The Case of the Discontented Husband, The Case of the City Clerk, In the Glass Darkly. No, sorry, yes. In the Glass Darkly I gave 3 stars. So yeah, the following I gave 3 stars. In the Glass Darkly, obviously. The Case of the Distressed Lady, The Case of the Rich Woman, Have You Got Everything You Want, The Pearl of Price, and The Death on the Nile, sorry. And then there were 2 short stories that I gave only 2 stars. And that was The Regatta Mystery and The House of Shiraz. In general, I really enjoyed the short stories, especially the Miss Marple ones. I found all of them to be really enjoyable. The Parker Pine ones were probably the least enjoyable, but overall they are definitely worth reading. They're short and an easy read, and very interesting short whodunit. So for the rest of the books that I'm going to talk about, I might talk about them a little bit in more detail than the Agatha Christie ones, because there are just so much fewer of them. But I have been reading the Logan McRae series by Stuart McBride, who is a Scottish crime author. So these are thrillers with serial killers, and Logan McRae is a detective sergeant. I don't remember the title, but like he's trying to solve murders. And so this year, in 2023, I read 3 of the books in his series. In the Cold Dark Ground, which is the 10th book in the Logan McRae series, I gave it 4 stars. The Blood Road, which is number 11, and then All That's Dead, which is Logan McRae number 12. All of them I gave 4 stars. And I'm so sorry, there is like a snow plow outside. Anyway, and then I also read A Dark So Deadly, which is a standalone. I really do enjoy all of the way Stuart McBride writes. They are very violent and horrible, and there's a lot of violence and bad language and grumpy people, and you do sometimes get like police isn't like that in real life. Like they are just, or I don't know, maybe they are, but I hope not, because they are just not very nice people usually. And Logan is a very charismatic character. He's very flawed, but he has kind of grown a lot from the first book and now to book 12. So I really do enjoy the books. And as I said, even though they are very violent, I find that it's not just violence for violence sake, but it's kind of written into the characters and the plot, for sure. Another book that I also read was a romance book, and it was the 4th book in the Bridgerton series called Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. This is the story of Colin and Penelope. I just don't like Julia Quinn's writing. I tried to read the first 3 books, and I DNF'd all of them. Which is very surprising to me, because I actually really enjoy the Netflix series. I watched the first 2 seasons over like more than once, but her writing and her like use of the stereotypical innocent woman, and like deflowering scenes, it's just yeah, I feel that there is the way they've done it in the TV series is they brought so much more depth to the female characters than she actually does in the books. I don't know. Or maybe there's just something about her writing style that completely puts me off. So I managed to finish the book simply because I love Colin and Penelope's story. You know, all around that. But yeah, I'm not gonna be reading any more of those Bridgerton books. I will just watch the TV series. Other books that I read now were by Diana Gabaldon, who wrote the Outlander series. I had read so book number 7, which is An Echo in the Bone, is the first one of those that I read this year, and it's actually a reread. I read it a couple of years ago when I read all the books up to book 7. But because I wanted to now read book 8 and 9 this year, I decided to reread number 7 just to kind of get me up, remind me of what had been happening and about the characters. I don't really like the TV show. I feel like the books, completely opposite to the Bridgerton series, the books are so much better than the TV adaptation of Outlander, I find. I don't like the Claire in the TV show. It's just, I don't know. She's so much more complex and interesting in the books. But yeah, so I read An Echo in the Bone, which is Outlander series number 7, and I read Written in My Own Heart's Blood, which is book number 8. And both of those I loved very much, and I gave them 5 stars each. These are really long, chunky books, but I really enjoyed them. And Go Tell the Bees That I'm Gone, book number 9, I also read. I gave that one 4 stars, although it's also very good, and I really did enjoy it. I read These Dark Things by Jan Merete Weiss, which is a very interesting book. It takes place in Italy, and it's a detective, and the mafia is involved, and the kind of the priesthood, and yeah, it's a very interesting book, and I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Another book that I read is the first book in either a duology or a trilogy or a series, I'm not sure, but it's called The Empire of the Vampire by J. Christoph. Now, I love vampires. Like, they are just the most sexy thing ever. And so I love everything that has to do with vampires, for sure. Well, almost everything. I mean, it has to have some quality to it, but yeah, I like vampires. And this book is really good. It kind of reminded me of Interview with a Vampire, in that here we have a vampire interviewing a vampire slayer, who's kind of like a hybrid vampire thingy. I don't know. It takes place in an alternate world, and it's really good world building. And for a first book in possibly a series, I think it's really sets the stage very well, and I really enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. I started reading the Red Rising saga series after Literary Diversions, I think her channel name is called. She's a Scottish booktuber, and she has been talking about this series non-stop for like months and months. So I decided to give it a go, even though sci-fi isn't necessarily my thing. And so I read all of the 3 books in the original trilogy, which is Red Rising, Golden Sun, and Morning Star. And I really enjoyed all of them. I really think that the world building is just really good. And I look forward to reading the rest of the series. I gave each of them 4 stars. You know, sometimes I felt that they were maybe a little bit drawn out, but in general, I really, really liked them. I read Alice Feeney's Sometimes I Lie, which is a thriller, a psychological thriller, and it is so good. It I had like heart palpitations, like it was so nerve-wracking. 5 stars for sure. Next book that I want to talk about is The Other Bennett Sister by Janice Hadlow. This one is one of my top 5 of the year. It is excellent, excellent. 5 stars for sure. And the next book that I want to talk about is by Carola Dunn, called Death at Wentwater Court, which is a Daisy Dalrymple mystery, her first book in that series. And I did not like it at all. I gave it 2 stars because, you know, it's not a bad book. But yeah, cozy mystery, no, not for me. And the second cozy mystery book that I read is by a couple, Richards and Costello, called The Midworth Mysteries or A Shot in the Dark. No, yeah. These are like stories that are taking place in like the 20s and 30s and stuff like that, and yeah, it just felt like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe because I'd been reading serious books before this, like not necessarily better books, but just more like demanding books emotionally. These felt just like I did not like them at all. I think cozy mysteries, cozy romance, yeah, I don't need it. I don't need to do that. That's not for me at all. And then the last books of the kind of the English speaking books that I read was Jessie Burton's The Miniaturist, who's also in my top 5 of the year. Excellent book, takes place in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, in the late 17th century, and just, yeah, really good. The next book that I want to talk about is by Elizabeth Gaskell. It's called Cranford. I also gave that 5 stars, and it's also in my top 5 of the year. It was really good and really just enjoyable, and 100% recommend that book. And then there is Gail Honeyman's Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. 5 stars, excellent, outstanding, amazing. Probably my most favorite book of 2023. It is so good, but at the same time, devastating. It just destroys your emotions and feelings, and but it's so good. It's like excellent. So yeah, you really should check that out. The last books that I want to talk about are actually Icelandic books, and I want to talk about them even though none of them have been translated to English. But I know that at least the last 3 authors that I talk about, they have had other works translated, and I'm sure that this book will be translated eventually. They are just very new. But the first author that I want to talk about his name is Ármann Jakobsson, and I read these 5 books by him. I gave all of them 4 stars, and they were just all really good. So these are crime, something criminal is happening, and he just does it really well. The author is professor of history at the University of Iceland, and of like Icelandic history is his speciality. Icelandic history and kind of mythology, or not mythology, but like folk tale and folk beliefs. What are they called? Cultural legacies and kind of medieval Iceland, like not like the sagas, but kind of in between, or like after that. And so these murders are always connected to some sort of either like the characters are academics or somehow students somehow connected to academia, or something in the way people are murdered or whatever is connected to like folk tales and magic or something like that. So those are really good books. I really enjoyed them, and I would hope that they would get translated. I think they have, they're good enough to be read by an international reading audience, but alas, that has not happened yet. And then the last 3 books that I read for the year, I read at Christmas. I got all of them for Christmas. And it is Yrsa Sigurðardóttir's recent book, Frís í æðum blóð. And it's really good. It's not her best work for sure, but just a very good kind of crime takes place, and people try to solve it, and other people try to get away with it. So a very basic crime story, like Yrsa does very well. But yeah, it was a 4-star read for me. Then there is Arnaldur Indriðason's Sæluríkið. This one, I only gave it 3 stars. It wasn't, definitely not my favorite. And I have never, it's in a series with a retired policeman who is the main character. I think it's the 4th or 5th book in where he is the main character. And he's not a character that I find very interesting. I'm not very interested in him as a character, so I couldn't really find that connection, even though he was going through some difficult things. So yeah, it was okay, 3 stars. And then the last book that I want to talk about is Eva Björg Ægisdóttir's Heim fyrir myrkur, or Home Before Darkness. This one was also 4 stars, but it was, I think, I probably could have given it 4.5. I tend to just give the whole number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars. But yeah, it was okay. It was a really interesting premise, and kind of looking a little bit into the past, and it was so kind of going back and forth from the main character who was in the future, and they were thinking, and she was talking to her parents, and they were thinking about something that happened 20 years ago, 10 years ago maybe, when her sister disappeared. And so it was going from her sister's point of view, her point of view as a child, and then her point of view as 10 years later. And I really liked that, the way she connected those point of views. So it was a pretty good book. So that's that. All the books that I read in 2023. If my calculation is correct, it was 92 books, and surprisingly very few non-fiction books. I read a lot of academic books, but I don't list them here in this is my reading for fun list of books. So I did read more books than that for sure, but I still think 92 is a lot of books to be reading when you have a life that consists of other things than just reading for fun. But I really enjoyed it, and I found a lot of really good books and new authors that I hadn't known before. So I look forward to reading some more of their work in the future for sure. And yes, if you have read any of those books, I would love to hear your thoughts on them. Or if there's something that you're curious about. Also, like I said before, if you want a more in-depth review of any of these books, I would be willing to consider that for sure. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to chat with you in the comments. See you in my next video. Bye bye.